In this video, what I'm going to do is show you how to properly interpret a public opinion poll by taking into consideration the confidence level and the margin of error. And we're going to do three different exercises. The first one, I'm going to do it by myself, and then the next two you're going to do, and we'll see how you do. Hopefully you'll do well. So I want you to imagine that there's a public opinion poll, and the question is, do you approve or disapprove of the job the president is doing? And the results of the poll are that 55% of the people sampled say they approve, 45% say they disapprove. The confidence level, which I'll explain in a second, is 95%, and the margin of error is plus or minus 3. What does that mean? Well, in the news media, the way that they would report that would be to say that 10% more people approve than disapprove of the president and the job that the president is doing. There's not a statistician, there's not a political scientist who would agree with that interpretation. Okay, so then what does that poll really tell us? To properly interpret it, you have to take into consideration the confidence level and the margin of error. So remember, it's 55 said approve, 45 said they disapproved, 95% confidence level, and plus or minus 3. What the poll means in regards to the approval rating is that we're 95% confident. That's where the confidence level is. We're 95% confident that somewhere between 58% and 52% approve of the job the president is doing. Now, how did I get the 58% and the 52%? Well, that's where the margin of error came in. Remember, the average was 55% who said they approved. That was the results of the poll. Well, what you do, if you look down below, is that where it shows 55 plus 3, and that's where I got my 58%, then 55 minus 3, and that's where I get my 52%. That's the confidence interval, it's called. It means that we're 95% confident that somewhere between 58% and 52% approve. Let me sort of explain that differently. What it means is that we're 95% confident that if we asked God, hey God, by the way, we just did a public opinion poll. We want to find out whether or not we got it right. We're 95% confident that God, who knows the true approval and disapproval ratings, or what we call in statistics the true value of the population, we're 95% confident that God will say, hey man, you guys got it right. That it would fall between 58% and 52%. Now God will know where it falls in between those two numbers. But as a statistician, as a political scientist, there's no way for us to know. All we can say is that we're 95% confident that somewhere between 58 and 52% approve of the job. And again, the 95% confidence comes from the confidence level. The 58 and the 52 come from adding and subtracting the margin of error. It's the same thing with the disapproval rating. The poll said that 45% disapproved of the job the president is doing. Well, is that accurate? No. We don't know that because remember, public opinion polls don't measure public opinion, they estimate public opinion, and there's always a margin for error. In this case, plus or minus 3. So what does this poll tell us? That we're 95% confident that somewhere between 48% and 42% disapprove. Well, how did I come up with 48 and 42? Remember, the percentage that said that they disapproved was 45%. The margin of error is plus or minus 3. 45 plus 3 gives me 48. 45 minus 3 gives me 42. And so that's the range. We're 95% confident that if we knew the true value of the population, if we knew the actual number of percentage of people who approved or disapproved, it would fall in that range. That's what public opinion polls really tell us. So while the media reports it as, oh, the approval rating is 10 times higher than 10% higher than the disapproval rating, again, no statistician, no political scientist, nobody who understands polls would ever agree with that interpretation. Let's go to the next exercise. Now let's do exercise 2. And it's basically the same way of calculating things as we did before, although the numbers are slightly different. So in this case, we're going to assume that the poll question was, if the presidential election were held today, would you vote for candidate A or candidate B? Now in this case, candidate 55% in our hypothetical poll say they would vote for candidate A. 45 say that they would vote for candidate B. The confidence level is 95%, just as an example 1. And then this time, the margin of error is plus or minus 4. Now let me reiterate a point that I made previously. If the media was reporting the results of this poll, they would say that candidate A was ahead by 10 percentage points. No statistician or political scientist would ever agree with that interpretation because they are not taking into consideration the 95% confidence level or the margin of error, which is plus or minus 4. So here's what I want you to do this time. I want you to calculate out how this poll result should be properly interpreted. So what you can do is pause the video as you sit and calculate things out, and then when you're ready, you can start the video up again and we'll go over the results. Okay, so now hopefully you've done the calculations. So let's start off with the results properly interpreted referring to candidate A. We wouldn't say that candidate A was ahead by 10 percentage points. Instead, we would say that we're 95% confident that somewhere between 59% and 51% would vote for candidate A. Now, how did I get 59 and 51? Well, the margin of error is plus or minus 4. So I added 4 to 55%, and then I subtracted 4 from 55%, and that's how I got 59% to 51%. That's what that poll is really telling us. Now, what that also means for candidate B is that we're 95% confident that somewhere between 49% and 41% would vote for candidate B. How did I get those numbers? The same way. The confidence level is already fixed at 95%, but I added 4 to the 45% who said they would vote for candidate B. I subtracted 4 from 45%, and that's how I got those numbers. Now, here's one other thing. It wouldn't be accurate to say that candidate A is ahead by 10 percentage points, because the truth is we don't know how far candidate A is ahead. Watch, let me show you something. I'm going to input those numbers. Okay, so now I've input the numbers. We're 95% confident that between 59% and 51% would vote for candidate A, and we're 95% confident that between 49% and 41% would vote for candidate B. But as I said, we can't say for sure that candidate A is ahead by 10 percentage points because we really don't know. Well, let me explain what I mean. Based on this poll, it could be that, and I'm highlighting this, 59% support candidate A and 41% support candidate B. That's possible based on this poll because we don't really know what the true value is. If that's the case, and 59% support candidate A and 41% support candidate B, well, that means that candidate A isn't ahead by 10 percentage points. Candidate A is ahead by 18 percentage points, 59 minus 41. But watch this. It's also possible, based on this very same poll, that 51% support candidate A and 49% support candidate B, which means in this case, candidate A isn't ahead by 10%, candidate A is ahead by 2%. This is why knowing that there's a confidence level and a margin of error is so critically important, and why there's no way it's accurate to say that candidate A is ahead by 10 percentage points. Candidate A could be ahead by as much as 10% or by as much as 2% or as little as 2%. But that's an important point. One thing that we could say about this poll is that we could say that we're 95% confident that what is true. We could say we're 95% confident that candidate A is ahead of candidate B. Because even if you take the highest number, 59%, or the lowest number, 51%, in either case, candidate A is ahead of candidate B. So what the media would report, candidate A is 10% ahead of candidate B, that just wouldn't be true. But if they said, based on this poll, we're 95% confident that candidate A is ahead of candidate B, that would be accurate. That would be accurate. So now we're going to go to exercise or example number 3.